Good evening, everyone. This is Carol Neven, and this is On the Rocks /KRA. Tonight we have a great band, I should say an orchestra, per se. We have Renaissance Rock Orchestra out of Las Vegas. This band is really pretty amazing. It's going to be great to talk to Gregg Fox about what's going on with this band since pandemic. They've been working out a lot of material, and a lot of things are going to be happening once he logs in here, and we'll start the chat. Welcome to On the Rocks /KRA. And
awesome.
I am a huge fan.
Oh, thank you so much.
I know you're from Vegas.
Yes.
And we have a lot to talk about.
We do, yeah.
Yes, with what's going on. So first, let's talk. I know it's hard to pinpoint who's in your band. So why don't we go over who currently is in your band?
Right, yes. On the new record, I took a little bit different direction than I have on the last couple records, because my original concept with Renaissance Rock Orchestra was to have it be a bit of a revolving door of artists. That's why, on our last record, we had 27 different rock stars and artists, right? We had 4 different singers, 9 different drummers, 7, 8 different guitar players. It was pretty awesome. But for the new record, I wanted to kind of create a little bit more of our identity and who we are and what we're going to be. So, of course, I wanted to use guys that I work with the most often, like Brian Tichy, who's in our Moby Dick's Led Zeppelin all-star band that we perform with all the time here in Vegas. So Brian did all the drums. And, of course, Mark Bowles and I have worked together in Raiding the Rock Vault on many occasions, and he's been on each one of my records. So I wanted to have Mark do all the vocals on this one. And honestly, also Robin McCauley, who did several tracks on the last record, is so involved with his own solo project now, which is fantastic. Is doing great. And then before that, he was pretty involved with Black Swan. So I was a little concerned about his availability for doing live shows. So I wanted to make sure that my personnel was going to be available to do a lot of live shows in Vegas and around the country. And even though Mark's involved in a lot of different projects too, which is awesome, he is right here in Vegas. And we've talked about his availability to make sure he's available to do Renaissance Rock Orchestra shows. So we have Mark Bowles on vocals, Brian Tichy on drums. My original plan was to have just one guitar player on the record. And so I brought in Michael James Romeo, who really loves the music and is excited about being involved in the project. And Michael, has been ranked by Burn Magazine as one of the top 10 metal guitar players in the world, from Symphony X, of course. Michael James Romeo from Symphony X. And he's a brilliant arranger, and he does a lot of movie scores. And so I thought he'd be a really great guy to bring in to work on the record. And of course he was, but he's so involved in a lot of his film work that it got to the point that after about 6 months of trying to complete the record, I decided to bring in a couple other guitar players to finish it. One being my local guitar player, Christian Brady from Hell Yeah. And so Christian did a couple songs, and then Tony Alleman also, who has been with Renaissance Rock Orchestra for the last couple of years since we did our original showcase in Las Vegas. So we ended up having 3 guitar players, and then I brought in, it was so fun, and I'm so excited to introduce to all the Renaissance Rock Orchestra fans, bass player Greg Smith. He's an East Coast guy, so that's an issue for our live shows. But my gosh, he did so great on the album, played some amazing things. Greg's toured with Alice Cooper, Ted Nugent, Alan Parsons, Rainbow Dawkins. It goes on and on and on, and he's just a great, great bass player. So I was excited to bring him in and have him do all the tracks. So we have kind of this identity, the sound, the drums sound the same on all the songs. The vocals sound the same on all the songs, so that we have this new sound, and the response from the new record has been really, really remarkable. I was talking to my management guys in LA today about some negotiations we're having with some record labels to get worldwide distribution for the new record. And of course, we will probably re-release all the old records once we get the new distribution too. So we're still working out all the details on that, and it hasn't happened yet, but confidence is very, very high about that.
Yeah, those guys are that you mentioned are like amazing musicians. I think that's what
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
about your band the most is
they're
because
also
you
good.
got
Yeah,
a yeah, you've got everybody and you actually Blas Elias has played with you also, Vegas
absolutely. Yeah,
resident here. I've met him a
yep,
few times.
yeah,
You know, he has Slaughter still and he
yes.
does a lot of
Trans-Siberian
the
Orchestra,
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he's
very,
got
very
his
cool.
hands full too. And I
He
think a
does.
lot of the musicians that you've worked with also have been doing different projects during pandemic just to
Absolutely,
keep
yes.
busy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Bloss because I have Bloss on my short list of guys to bring in, because Brian Tishy does a lot of other projects too. So,
Right.
when we actually get to our residency and doing live shows here in Vegas, I really expect that hopefully Bloss will come in and do some shows with
Oh
us.
yeah, I want to
Yeah.
talk to you, Greg, about that. I when when I found out about this, I was like, yes, because you have such a great like stage presence with everybody. You guys are all in sync,
Yeah.
and I know you're playing two shows at Vamped, which I'm super excited about.
Right. That's going to be so fun.
I
Yes.
know,
That's by
and
the time we get
I
back there, we were going to do a show, I believe it was in March of last year, right when COVID hit. I mean, it was literally the week that everything shut down. We were going to do a
I
show
think
at
I actually remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So unfortunately that didn't happen. So I guess it's not quite a year and a half since then. We're going to be playing in July, pretty close. Yeah, man, a long time, but it's going to be so exciting to play with the guys again and do all the Zeppelin songs. It's such a blast playing with the Moby Dicks and playing at Vamp because we have such a great following there. And Brian Tishy is like the living embodiment of John Bonham.
I
He's
know. I cannot.
such a bonzo
Oh,
guy. Yeah,
I cannot
yeah.
wait to see
Have
him.
you seen that show before, Carol? Have you seen the Moby
Yeah,
Dicks? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a great band, great party rock band. I mean, it's
yeah, yeah.
pretty cool.
And
And yeah,
Brian
let's
is
talk.
such a powerful drummer.
I
We
know.
also do the Bonzo Bash shows, which we've done at Vamped and we do it at NAMM almost every year. And that's an amazing experience too, playing all the bottom songs with all these amazing drummers. But if you've seen our show, you probably recall that Tishy, when he goes into, we all take solos, we all take extended solos because that's the spirit of Led Zeppelin. That's what they did live. That's what they would do if they were still playing together. So when Brian takes his drum solo, which can last 15 or 20 minutes, by the end of it, he's playing with his fists on the drums and on the timpani, and people are just like, their jaws are like, oh my God, they've never seen anything like that. But that's exactly how Bonham played. And so, Brian is such a aficionado of John Bonham and has studied his style, the way he plays, and you have to have a certain energy and spirit and technique to play a Bonham style. You have to hit hard, and Brian really does that so well. So it's an awesome thing. But at the same time, it was really fun working with Brian on the new record, A Song of Hope, because we really wrote out a lot of the drum parts and a lot of the sections, and we tried to make it as dynamic as possible. So, we have areas where we kind of go into a Zeppelin feel on this record a little bit. The last record, a lot more. We did more of a Zeppelin sound. On this one, I kind of stylistically, well, everybody in LA and the label people and the management people were wanting that 80s sound. Everybody was saying, we can't get enough 80s sound. Everybody wants 80s rock, that classic rock sound. So what I did is, I wrote a Queen song. Very, very, very Queen-like. I wrote, I'm a Kansas fan, so I threw in kind of a Kansas thing, right? Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard it yet, but A Song of Hope, which is on YouTube. And by the way, please, everybody go to YouTube and subscribe and listen to A Song of Hope. A Song of Hope has been, I'm really proud of it because as a songwriter, you want to reach people. You want to touch them emotionally in some way, right? Trigger their feelings. And that song I wrote as a real stress relief song for people during COVID. And it talks about how we all need to support each other and help each other out to get through this. So it's a very inspiring song, and it has been helping people around the world. I get a lot of comments on YouTube from people saying, I lost my father, and this song, I listen to it every day, and it really gives me strength and hope and inspiration that life's going to get better and I can make it through this. So very, very happy with the way that song turned out. But also,
it's a beautiful song.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Very proud of that song. Our first release off the record, which is on Spotify now, is called In My Love and Arms. And, it's kind of hard to put that one in a niche because it has that Renaissance Rock Orchestra sound to it, which is a little bit Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We have strings. We use people from the Seattle Symphony to do strings. A guy by the name of Philip Peterson did some amazing cello work on it, and kind of I wrote the arrangements, and it was recorded by my friend Marino Carrera up there in Seattle from Cinema Sonic. And so it was really cool to bring those people in because I'm a Seattle guy. So as a matter of fact, during the last summer, I went up to Seattle to help my mom and dad move out of our forever home, and into a care facility. And while I was up there, I got to see a lot of my Seattle friends and went to the Paramount Theater and, talked with my buddies there that run the Paramounts. And of course, we're hoping to get Renaissance Rock Orchestra there at some point. But during that time period, I was talking to a lot of string players up there, people from the Seattle Symphony, from other string groups. And so I was really excited that we got that together and made that connection. And they were also excited to play this material too, to play, hard rock, but with complex string arrangements. And so on In My Love and Arms, we have some really nice string parts that they did, and they played throughout the record on most of the songs. But In My Love and Arms it's hard to kind of put it in a niche as to what it sounds like, which is fine. I've heard people compare it to Van Halen. I've heard people compare it to Dream Theater. But I don't mind those comparisons because that's all great music, right? So try to write.
I mean, when you guys play together, there's so many different elements.
Yes.
Like you said, like you mentioned, Kansas is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
You've got some Journey touches in there. You've got, the strings in there. If people haven't seen you perform live, this is going to be a great opportunity in Vegas once you start playing out. Is there any possibility of a full tour?
Well, I don't think that's probably the route we're going to go to immediately. Now, my thoughts on that, a couple things. First of all, tours are so expensive, and it's so difficult to get support money from labels and touring companies anymore. So it's really difficult to do that with an unbranded band, right? To do a full major tour with an unbranded band, particularly with the kind of production that this show needs. I mean, it really needs to be that gigantic Trans-Siberian Orchestra type of show. Right. I think of it as Trans-Siberian Orchestra with rock stars. Take out the Christmas, put in the rock stars, you have Renaissance Rock Orchestra.
Right, because I think that's where you were talking about Residency, because I know that you have the 2 dates in Vamped in July.
Right.
And is there a possibility that Residency is going to be at Vamped?
No, I don't think so. Vamped is really not a residency type room.
Okay.
They like to bring in lots of different types of acts and really have, a different kind of show, a different band every weekend, every Friday and Saturday. So I don't see Vamped as being a good residency room, although, of course, I'd love to do it. It's my favorite room in Vegas. Great sound, great lights, great crowd. It's like when I'm at Vamped, it's like being at home. It's just like being with family. I've been playing there for over a decade now. So, I do hope that we do some shows there. And I've been discussing that with them. And I look forward to doing some shows there for sure. But the idea with the residency here in Vegas, of course, is that we keep our costs down. Our production is set up. It's in a room, sound and lights. So we really can do a full-on production and not have to move it every night or every week. And, you know, you're talking trucks, so many expenses when you're talking a major tour. But another thing that I really would like to do that I foresee happening is getting Renaissance Rock Orchestra in a lot of the European festivals, because the people over there really, really love rock, and they love metal. They love symphonic metal. They really get what we're about. And that's a great way to brand the band, right? To get into one of those major festivals or several. And the expenses are not so great then, because of course, you have your lights and sound set up for all the festivals. So that keeps our costs low. And while we're over there, we do several of them. So we've been talking with some touring companies about getting set up to do that. But of course, at this point, that's not going to happen this year. So we're shooting for next year. But once again, it all comes down to where we end up landing on a residency in Las Vegas. Yeah. So if we do get the residency, you know, we're going to be locked in. We'll be here, and people from around the world come to Las Vegas.
Yes.
And it's another great way to brand the band, you know, to start developing a really good following. People will know we're here. We'll be able to advertise all of our guest star artists that are coming in. You know, if we have Bumblefoot from Guns N' Roses come in for a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or George Lynch, or maybe Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake and Trans-Siberian, right on drums, a lot of different choices in vocalists, Robin McCall, certainly. But so we'll be able to advertise and know everybody's touring schedules and get it set up when they are available. And people around the world that are fans of that particular artist will say, oh, I'm going in September. Simon Wright's going to be on the drums. That's who I want to see. This, yeah. So everybody has their favorites, and they'll be able to come see whichever guest star artist we have it scheduled far in advance. So that's the plan.
Yeah, and I think with the residency, there's so many hotels here that you guys would totally rock it. And with everything opening up, I mean, rock and roll. Let's have this conversation really quick. Rock and roll is making a comeback.
Yeah,
and Vegas is the hub.
Yeah.
For this trend right now.
Absolutely right. It is. I agree entirely. I love that about being here. And you know, the entire time I've been in Vegas, it's been the perfect spot for me to be, because of all the shows I've done with the Rock Gods Hall of Fame and Raiding the Rock Vault. And, you know, it goes on and on. The Bonzo Bashes, playing with the Moby Dicks, with a lot of different formations of that band over the last decade. It's really put me in a perfect position to work with a lot of different artists that I've been able to get on my records. And they've all been very excited to be a part of a new project. And that's another thing that I want to talk about as long as we're talking about this new revival of rock. Even the name itself, and where I came up with the Renaissance Rock Orchestra, is a renaissance, a revival of rock music is what the idea is about. So I think it's really important that we have something like Renaissance Rock Orchestra here in Vegas, which is an original act. We have a lot of great original acts here and great original rock bands, but nothing that kind of encompasses that classic rock sound, that symphonic rock sound, that symphonic metal sound, something big enough to be on a stage in a casino in Vegas. That is a Vegas local brand, you know, that is Vegas. So that's what it's all about for me. And I'm very proud to present the city and with the artists that I have, you know, playing this music and playing with the bands. It's just, I've been very, very blessed with that. They're all just the best performers that there are out there in the world for rock artists. And that will continue to grow. As a matter of fact, in a lot of these Bonzo Bash shows and Rock Gods Hall of Fame shows, et cetera, I haven't had a chance to get all those artists on my records yet. There's so many of them. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Bloss would be one. I was thinking, there's so many of them. I need to make a list. Chris Slade from AC/DC. I got to get Chris on some tracks. really look forward to that. And as a matter of fact, playing with Jason and Janaea Ebbs and in their original band Ecotonic, and doing a lot of shows with them when we did the Rock Gods Hall of Fame shows. It was kind of a bucket list moment. I've had so many of those here in Las Vegas, playing amazing things with amazing players, but to play Blinded by the Light with Chris Slade, the drummer from AC/DC, who was the drummer with Manfred Mann on track. When I was coming up, it was such a huge hit. To play that, I've probably played that song with Chris at least a half a dozen times, and every time it's just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Which is the same way I felt 3 weeks ago down in Phoenix at Coopstock, playing keyboards for Asia.
I wanted to go to that show, Greg.
Oh, that was so great.
I wanted to go to that show.
It was so great. It was the first show I've done, since COVID. And what a great show to do. The Asia music has been really, really exciting for me to play. It's in my DNA. It's in my blood. It's the kind of keyboard player that I am. And as I was learning the songs and programming all the sounds, which was really very difficult, time consuming to try to create that exact sound that's on the record, which is what I try to do when I do something like that. But listening to the songs and learning them and playing them, it's just like, they bring back this sense of that time period, like all music does, but it's very positive, happy music. It just feels really inspiring to play, and to play with Lou Gramm from Foreigner. Oh my God. Right.
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, wow. That was such a rush to be on stage with Lou. In my life, I've been blessed to have moments where I'm on stage playing with brilliant artists. And I think to myself at that moment, I'm going to remember this till the day I die. I'm going to remember this moment because it's so sweet. It's just so succulent to be on stage playing that music and have it be so perfect. And playing I Want to Know What Love Is with Lou was like that. 80 million records sold. And I'm just watching him sing and playing the song, just like going, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this with Lou Gramm. Such a huge classic hit. So yeah, fun stuff. That was a great show. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see a lot of the guys that I hadn't seen for a long time. Brent Fitz was drumming with Alice, and Brent and I, when I first moved to Vegas, we're in several bands together, Beggars and Thieves, and the Hollywood All-Stars, Vegas All-Stars, a lot of different shows like that. So it was great to see Brent. He's been so busy with Slash, over a lot of the last decade that I haven't seen a lot of him. But Brent played on my very first record on a very Trans-Siberian piece called Alexander's Symphony. And doesn't have any vocals. It's one of those epic symphonic rock Trans-Siberian Orchestra pieces, and oh my gosh, the way Brent played on that track is really remarkable. Yeah, go to YouTube and find Alexander's Symphony and check that out. It's a really great track. We haven't done that one live yet, and I'm really looking forward to doing it because it's just, it has that Trans-Siberian thing, but it also has a little bit of that ELO sound to it, right? A little bit of electric. Yeah, a little bit of electric light orchestra to it. And I'm hoping, of course, that Brent's going to end up being one of our guest star artists once we get our residency, and I want to get him on some more tracks. But it was awesome to see him and to watch him play. And it was fun being with him on stage because I'm kind of known for, I'm such an exuberant performer when I play. And one of the things that I do with it, and I got it from Steve Walsh from Kansas. I used to love the way that he was always like kicking and doing all these crazy things while he was playing keyboard. So I started doing that years and years ago. And, I haven't done it a lot for the last 4 or 5 years. In a lot of the shows that I'm in, I try to kind of keep that down. I'm not trying to upstage anybody. It's just trying to settle in and just play the music. And it doesn't seem to fit with the Zeppelin show so much, so I don't do it with that show very often. But Brent loves the kick, and it was so funny because he was off to the side of the stage, and he was looking around. He wanted to make sure nobody was listening. He comes up to me, he says, "Greg, you got to do the kick." I'm going, "Brent, I haven't done the kick in 4 or 5 years. I can't do the kick." it's my first show with Asia. I'm just going to try to settle down here and just play my parts. He says, he comes back about 3 minutes later, whispers in my ear, you got to do the kick, man. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Brent obviously loves the kick. Brent's a real rock star. If Brent thinks the kick is that cool, maybe I should do the kick. So, of course, I do the kick. Couldn't help it. And it was fun. It was such a fun show to see everybody. And Jeff Tortora did an amazing job on drums for Asia and for Lou Gramm and doing all the foreigner songs. It was a blast. And playing with John Payne. That was a really, really fun show. Carol Neven, her and I, she was in my first band when I moved to Vegas with my bass player and best friend, Mikey Bones, who passed away a few years back, Michael Gerbino. And we had a band called Babylon.
I remember that band.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I think we only did 3 or 4 shows, and things sort of changed. We lost our guitar player. Rod Miller ended up joining Phoenix, and he and I are both from Seattle, so we've been friends for years, and we were in a lot of Seattle bands together. And when Rod joined Phoenix, I kind of lost the heart to go on with Babylon. And it was just during that time period also I was starting to envision, having my own show, the Renaissance Rock Orchestra. And so I was starting to write all that material. So I kind of let Babylon go by the way, but it's too bad that I did. Carol Neven definitely wanted to keep doing it. She was the lead vocalist for it. And she's just so amazing. Love Carol Neven.
How was it? Let's talk a little bit about that concert in Phoenix. How was it? Because you haven't played, right, since the pandemic when you were in Phoenix.
It was the first show.
So how was that feeling, Gregg, when you first started hitting the notes? I mean, I want to hear all about what you were feeling at that particular time.
It was so exciting. It was so exciting. I mean, I love to perform. And the crowd, everything about that show and that concert was brilliant. The stage crew, the sound crew, lights, the stage itself. Alice was incredible and amazing. I had never met Alice before, and it was so nice to sit and chat with him and his wife. And we talked a little bit about A Song of Hope because they kind of have a bit of a ministry. They consider what they do to with a lot of teens and people, kids growing and getting into the rock field and things like that, developing all their skills. But yeah, so the audience was so appreciative and just starving for live entertainment and live music, which is one of the reasons Brent said, you got to do the kick. These people haven't seen any entertainment in a year. You got to give it to them, Gregg. So, but yeah, it was so thrilling. And, it was very exciting for me to be playing with Asia featuring John Payne and to be playing that music. And I just love it. And so it was very, very thrilling. Very thrilling. Yeah. Playing that first note of Only Time Will Tell was the first song we did. And it starts with the whole synth thing. And wow. Yeah. It was tremendous. And the crowd, like I say, there was probably about 1,000 people there, I'm thinking. And they were limited to capacity. It was outdoors on a golf course. It was just a beautiful evening in Phoenix, the sun setting. It wasn't too hot. It was just so comfortable. The sound was great. The lights were great. The musicians that I was playing with for Asia and for Lou Gramm, they're all so brilliant. And just oh God, to play with a band again, to play with great musicians, to play that music, everything about it was absolutely magical. It's another thing that I'll never forget that night after such a long drought of not playing and not doing any shows and starving, just going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay in Vegas. I mean, there was times I considered moving out of Vegas, and, there's people that did that. I'm like going, I don't know how I'm going to survive. How am I going to make it?
You're not alone.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of great investors and supporters for Renaissance Rock Orchestra, and they really got me through. I won't name all the names, but yes, I've been very blessed. It kind of surprises a lot of my artists in Renaissance Rock Orchestra, the kind of support financially that I have been able to find keep putting on shows and residencies and to do the records and to pay all these artists. You know, it's not inexpensive to have artists like this on your record.
No.
You know, they certainly deserve more than I'm probably giving them, but yeah, it's not inexpensive. And I try to make sure that they get what they deserve, because they've spent a lifetime putting themselves in this position and developing their craft. And yeah, I'm very blessed to have them. But so, yes, I made it through it. It looks like things are going to be all right. The shows are coming back. You know, it's interesting, the changes and things that are happening. We've been talking about the residency in Las Vegas. And I'm going to give some kind of bad news right now, and I hate to do that. I always try to be positive. We have so many positive things going on with the record labels that are interested in the response from the new record. But so we've been negotiating with a couple different places for a residency for probably the last 4 or 5 months. And we were really close to tying one down. And I was so excited about it. I expected that we were probably going to do that within the next week or two, and that we might be playing by mid-July, you know. And as you probably know, Caesars just made this announcement like 2 days ago that they cut I don't know how many acts, 11 acts, maybe could be more. And all these acts that thought that they were going to be coming back to the same rooms they were in, they were all of a sudden scrambling, going, we don't have a show anymore. We don't have a room. We don't have a venue. And of course, a lot of these acts have been playing Vegas. They're well-branded acts that have been playing here 5 years, 10 years. You know, some of them are musical shows. Some of them are hypnotists, magicians, lots of things like that. But they're all branded, and people know them around the world that come to Vegas to see them and have for a decade. So in the scramble, we lost our slot for the residency that we thought we were going to have, that we've been working on for months and months and months. So that is a little depressing to have to announce that, because I thought we were getting so close. But there's other rooms available, and we're going to work to find different situations. As a matter of fact, one of the people we were working with, it sounds like they are going to procure a couple new venues themselves. So, and they love RRO and they want to have RRO. And I understand why they would, and I can't really disclose who it is that they put in our slot yet, but I understand why they would want to do that. You know, they want to have acts now and bring them in right away. And it's a show that's been here for years. So I get it. But the good news is that, yeah, they're going to procure some more venues, some more rooms, and I'm pretty sure that we're probably going to be able to get one of those spots.
Oh yeah,
so
I mean,
we're still working at it.
I can see you in a couple different venues. You know.
Yeah. What ideas do you have? Which rooms do you like?
I thought of the Golden Nugget, because they've got a great showroom there.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of bands from the 80s have played there. Night Ranger, Lita Ford has played there.
Yeah.
Lou
Gramm, I think Lou Gramm played there within the last few years too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's been playing there. You're right. But once again, you know, that room there for years and years had Legends, right? Where they had, they had the Garth Brooks. They had, everybody.
That show was moved around a lot too, though.
It did, true, but it was there as a residency for years. But after that, after Legends left the Golden Nugget, they kind of started bringing a lot of different acts, like you're talking about. I saw Lita there. I saw Tommy James and the Shondells. By the way, my bass player Greg Smith, with Alice Cooper, Ted Nugent, all that, but he also plays for Tommy James and Shondells too.
Oh, that's cool. I
saw them there. Yeah, I've been talking, you know, and approaching through several of my contacts at the Golden Nugget for probably the last year or more. But once again, a lot of those kind of rooms, they want a branded act that, you know, that people know.
I get it.
Yeah. Like a Tommy James and Shondells. I mean, how long they've been around, everybody knows. Yeah. So Lita Ford, the same kind of thing. So to them, it's just like, all right, well, who is Renaissance Rock Orchestra?
Right.
Well, I have to get them in a different mentality.
Yeah.
Have to get them to understand that this is not just a rock concert, that it's a symphonic production, and that I'm not bringing in just Tommy James or just Lita Ford. I'm bringing in a drummer from AC/DC. I'm bringing in a guitar player from Guns N' Roses.
Right.
I'm bringing in a vocalist from Michael Schenker. So you really have a lot more to work with marketing wise. You're really creating this rock star show, that has just a lot of different talent. So they just don't quite get it yet, and I understand.
There's so many ideas I have for you, but anyway, but yeah, I really think that Vegas as a whole has so many musicians moving here. I mean, we know that Gene Simmons just moved here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So Tommy Thayer is here.
We have everybody except Paul Stanley, really, right?
Right. I mean, all those musicians from California are moving to Vegas because of the taxes. So
they've been doing it for a decade. That's why there's been so much talent here for me to work with and to bring into Renaissance Rock Orchestra. Just it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. So it just continues to grow this whole community. Yeah. This whole rock community in Las Vegas. It's very exciting. Very, very. It's a very exciting period of time to be in right now, because we don't know how things are going, what's going to happen, but we know that Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. It's going to stay that. We know we have so much rock star talent here. It's just unbelievable. And so, it's time for some of us to step up, and it's time for, the rest of the Vegas community to say, hey, we want this to happen. We want, like the Renaissance Rock Orchestra, to represent Las Vegas. We want to have this big symphonic rock show here that is like the ultimate tribute act that there could ever be, because besides doing all of our own originals, which are Trans-Siberian and that have that whole classic rock feel, the new album really doesn't have a lot of that Trans-Siberian Orchestra feel. It's very classic 80s rock, AOR kind of stuff. But at the same time, this show, when we do it, we have to make it something that's going to be big and epic. It can't, because we are an unbranded band, an unbranded show. We're going to do epic rock songs with strings, Kashmir, Aerosmith. We're going to do some of the biggest rock anthems that have ever been done with rock stars, our own way, with these strings and string arrangements. So it's going to be that epic Las Vegas show with the production and with the orchestra. And we really haven't done that in Las Vegas. We really haven't had a show with the symphony, with an orchestra. Right. Don't you think don't you think we deserve that? Yes. Something so classy, something so big. I mean, hey, go big or go home. It is Las Vegas, right?
Exactly.
It is Las Vegas.
Well, here, I want to pick your brain for a minute before I let you go. Tell me, Greg, what was your first concert that you ever went to?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's been a while. My very, and I'm a keyboard player. So I ended up being an Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan, and Yes fan, and Jethro Tull fan. So I went to a lot of those shows. But my very first concert was Chicago. Nice. Yeah.
I'm from Chicago.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Those horns and the horn arrangements, there was nothing like that sound at that time. And, I've been taking some trips back and forth to Seattle, taking care of my parents. And I've been driving, and the drive's just been so amazing because, I get to I'm by myself. I'm thinking about the show, thinking about writing the song and listening to music, something I never have time to do because I'm always on the phone with agents, with management companies. I'm always recording my new track. I'm, mastering, mixing, doing all these things. So to have that much time to just listen to my favorite music in Chicago is one of the things that I revisited while I was traveling. It was just like, wow. I was actually driving through Snoqualmie Pass through the mountains in the snow and seeing all the snowy mountains and trees, listening to Chicago, which, you know, of course, and that's my hometown. So it was all just kind of coming back.
Oh, it's my hometown too. I'm from Chicago.
Seattle. Oh, yeah, Chicago. I'm a Seattle boy. But
okay, but yeah.
So, but when I was growing up in Seattle, that was one of the first things that I was really into was the Chicago music. And, you know, they were really, I don't know if I could really say progressive rock, but in a way they were. Yeah. They really stretched out, you know, the guitars, long guitar solos. You know, it was, it had that real natural roots feel to it too. But yeah, with those brilliant chordal arrangements.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Are we losing?
No. I'm still here. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, Gregg. Hi, Jennifer. Yep. How are you? I'll be with you in just a second, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Gregg, it's been great talking to you.
I really enjoyed it too. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to definitely come and see your show in July. Advance.
Awesome. That sounds good. Good. I'll see you there. Yeah.
And we'll keep in touch.
Let's do this again, and we'll bring some of the other guys in. We'll bring in Mark and Brian and Greg. Yes. And
I want to thank Christina Avila, your promoter.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
She is. Absolutely. I just want to say she's amazing. She's been kind of connecting with me, and she's great.
She really, you have no idea.
She does a great job for you.
Yeah, she really does. You know, we're in contact almost every day. We have to because she's doing such a great job of making sure that people around the world are finding out about Renaissance Rock Orchestra and about the music. So yes, Christina, thank you so much. We love you. You're doing a brilliant job. I can never tell you how thankful I am. So,
right. And I will definitely keep in touch, Gregg. So I definitely want you on for a follow-up show on the rocks, okay?
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Carol. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Gregg. And I'll talk to you soon. Definitely, the viewers definitely need to check out YouTube.
Yeah, yes.
You guys have some great videos and stuff on
Please, there. Please, subscribe and listen to it. Yeah.
Yes. And, Spotify.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun. It was great to meet you.
It was great to meet you too, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.